In this video, we're going to go over what you need to include in your introduction section when writing your lab report. The first section of the lab report is the introduction. In this section, you'll be demonstrating your understanding of underlying concepts presented in the lab experiment. These frequently come from what's presented in lecture or what's in the background information of your lab manual. These concepts are often applied in the lab experiment, are being tested, or simply being confirmed. You will want to relate these topics to the specifics of the experiment being performed. For example, if you are performing an experiment on stoichiometry and chemical reactions, you'll want to explain what stoichiometry is. You don't want to include a generic reaction like A plus B goes to form C plus D. Instead, you'll want to be specific. You'll want to say nitric acid reacted with sodium hydroxide to form sodium nitrate and water. You'll want to explain how you will know these products form. Did you do anything in the lab that demonstrated it, for example? Find out as much as you can about these techniques and then explain it. Don't forget, you'll also need to include a statement of purpose or hypothesis in your introduction. When writing your background section, you'll need to explore what others have learned about the subject. This involves a bit of library research, or at a minimum, a good review of your lecture textbook and the background reading in the lab manual that appears before the procedure. These sources will give you an idea of what concepts are related to the lab experiment you'll be performing. From here, you'll need to dig a bit deeper to increase your understanding of these topics, most likely reaching out to other resources. Then, scientific concepts that you found have to be put in a logical order as it relates to the experiment. You will need to demonstrate your understanding of how these topics relate to each other and how you expect the experiment to turn out. Of course, at any time you use other resources, you need to cite them. Your introduction will be full of citations and references from work that you've consulted to deepen your understanding of the topic. As you write your introduction, you will use your question words, the who, what, when, where, why, and how, to address those underlying concepts and to search out a deep understanding. Don't forget, you'll need to use mathematical equations and chemical formulas and chemical reactions in some experiments to better understand the concepts you're presenting. You'll need to ask yourself, do I write a purpose statement or a hypothesis in this experiment? Remember, is this experiment testing a hypothesis or is it more purpose-driven? And what's the difference? Well, a purpose statement is very goal-oriented. You want to start in one place and you want to end up somewhere else. You may already have an idea of where that place is. You could be here in Lexington with the goal of someday moving out to the mountains. Your experiment, for instance, could be to synthesize aspirin from the oil of wintergreen, which chemists would call methylsalicate, in a two-step synthesis. That's your goal. A hypothesis, however, is a tentative statement that's testable. You're making an attempt to explain a phenomenon, and that attempt can be tested. It's going to state what you think is going to happen. As part of your background search, you'll need to relate those underlying big principle concepts to the specific experiment you're performing. This could be talking about a specific chemical reaction that will occur after defining the type of reaction it is. Relate this back to your purpose. Don't assume that your reader will make the connections that you see. You'll find yourself needing to use mathematical formulas and most especially chemical reactions to support your objectives. As with everything else, be specific. Use the specific chemical reaction for the reaction that you performed, and then explain it. Remember, if you have any questions, please ask them in the Course Piazza site. Reach out to your TA or myself via email or office hours to ask.